The Nintendo Switch turns 8 years old this year, which means that the Nintendo Switch is finally at the age where it should know how to tie its shoes. Mine, it might be a bit of a slow learner, but that is okay. I can't believe it's been a whole 8 years since this console released. I remember picking it up on day one. I mean, this is me when the Switch was announced, and this is me now. The Switch has definitely become my favorite game system of all time. So many amazing genre-defining titles have been released on this thing. And the popularity of this thing is evident, selling over 150 million units. With the Nintendo Switch 2 on the horizon, I thought it'd be kind of fun to look back at the past 8 years of what I've been playing and list my top 10 Nintendo Switch games. I had a hard time making this list. I'm not very good at making decisions like this, so to help narrow it down, I made myself a few rules to follow. I'm only going to be focusing on Nintendo Switch official first-party releases, so there won't be any indie games on this list, but I hope to maybe do another list in the future for those. The Nintendo Switch is chock full of re-releases and remasters, so I'm going to try to watch that on this list and not put as many as probably deserve to be on the list. I'm sorry. Most importantly, this is just my list. I haven't played every Nintendo Switch game, and there are tons in my backlog, so there are probably some games you think are worthy of being on this list, and if that's the case, let me know in the comments. And remember, this is just my silly little opinion. However, it's the only correct opinion, and I am 100% correct all the time, and if you disagree with me, I'm permanently blocking you. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for the Kirby franchise. I grew up in the Game Boy Advance, DS, and Wii era, so there were tons of different Kirby games, and every single one of them felt unique. Between Kirby's Epic Yarn, Air Ride, Mass Attack, each one of them had a unique style, and they all felt different from each other. But no matter the quality of every Kirby game I've ever played, none of them answered the question I've had since day one of playing the first Kirby game. What if Kirby could experience the Z-Plane? Kirby in the Forgotten Land is the first 3D platformer in the mainline series, which when it was announced, it was super cool to see the series finally make the jump to 3D. It's kind of interesting to me that it actually took this long for the series to get a 3D entry. The closest thing we had before was Kirby 64 and the Crystal Shards, and even then, it was still a traditional Kirby platformer. It just was angled. Kirby in the Forgotten Land finally answers a question people have been asking for decades. What if Kirby had an open carry permit? This game takes the Kirby formula to what feels like the next step in the franchise. It takes what I've loved about all the Kirby games like Return to Dreamland and Triple Deluxe and does something completely new, but still feels familiar. This game is so charming, man. I love the level design and the new enemies, but my absolute favorite part of this new game is the mouthful ability. Driving around as a Kirby car in a post-apocalyptic hellscape is something I never thought I'd be able to say. The mouthful abilities add an extra way to encourage exploration to look for collectibles, which this game is packed full of. And you don't just become a car, you can become a traffic cone, stairs, a vending machine, what are you? All in all, I think Kirby in the Forgotten Land is one of the best Kirby games of all time. It reinvents the wheel but still stays true to its own formula, and it's a great addition to anybody's Nintendo Switch library. I highly suggest it.
Boom.
Alright, I gotta be honest about this next game. I've never really played a 2D Metroid game all the way through. It's just one of those series that I just pop in and play for a bit and appreciate it from afar, but I just never finish. When it comes to the Metroid games, I'm more of a Prime guy. It's just the way I am, which is kind of ironic because I prefer 2D platformers, but oh my goodness. Metroid Dread is a fantastic video game. Like I said, I have never really played a 2D Metroid game all the way through until Dread. This is the first 2D Metroid game I've beaten, and man, every second of it was amazing. The fast-paced platforming, the super fun bosses, the atmosphere of the levels, it's all top tier and definitely worth the wait. I mean, even when I went back to record some gameplay for this video, it made me want to replay the game again from the start. This is one of those games that made me interested in going back and actually finishing the previous 2D Metroid games, which is probably the biggest compliment I could ever give it. This was also the first Nintendo Switch game I was able to snag the collector's edition for. And I love that the Metroid representation on the Nintendo Switch has been so strong. Dread's development is a weird story that I'd love to make a devoted in-depth video on one day. I get that it's probably not for everybody. This is definitely not a traditional 2D platformer, but I highly recommend that you give it a shot. It's fantastic. Okay, I said at the beginning of this list that I was going to limit how many re-releases and remakes are on this list. So I limited it down to one. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is a banger of a Mario Kart game, but unfortunately, it had to come out on the Wii U. So it's no surprise to me when the Nintendo Switch was announced that they were going to bring over Mario Kart 8, and it also doesn't surprise me that it happened the first few months. I figured what they do is put Mario Kart 8 Deluxe out on the Switch in its first few months just to have a Mario Kart out there, and then in a few years we were going to get a proper, original Mario Kart game on the Switch. It's a good thing I'm not a betting man. Yeah, so Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the only mainline game in the series to come to the Switch, which honestly shocks me. But after you see the sales numbers, I completely get it. And for good reason. In my opinion, this is the best Mario Kart experience they've ever had. For me, when a new Mario Kart game comes out, it just kind of replaces the old one. So it was interesting going from 8 to 8 Deluxe. So much has changed! King Boo. Dry Bones. Car. All joking aside, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a huge improvement from 8, mainly when it comes down to the battle mode. With the original Mario Kart 8 release, Nintendo had an interesting idea. Let's make battle mode stink! Yeah, for some reason, battle mode in 8 is just the tracks from the main racing mode instead of dedicated tracks, which was super disappointing to me. But in 8 Deluxe, they completely rehauled the battle mode and made it more in tune to what fans wanted. Completely new tracks, multiple modes including Balloon Battle, Shine Thief, and Renegade Roundup. They even added an exclusive item for the battle modes, which I don't like, but still, they didn't just do the bare minimum to shut battle mode fans like me up. They actually made a fun, fast-paced battle mode that was tons of fun. Those aren't the only changes, though. New improvements to the gameplay, characters like Dry Bones and King Boo were added, along with a new bike and style for Link from Breath of the Wild. That's super cool. All the DLC from the Wii version was also carried over, and thank goodness for that. I didn't have to lose my funny Mercedes monkey combo. Even after getting all 3 stars in all the classes, I still go back to this game time to time just to play a few races online. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is definitely my favorite Mario Kart game. In my opinion, there are no weak tracks in this game. From the visuals to the music, they're all winners. And that's not even mentioning the Booster Course Pass DLC, which adds 48 more tracks to the game. This game has so much to offer and is definitely one of my favorite Switch games.
Feeling good!
I'd like to consider myself a Mario Party enthusiast, and Super Mario Party Jamboree is a Mario Party game, and a pretty great one at that. Mario Party kinda got in the slump after Mario Party 8 to me. Mario Kart 9 introduced changes to the gameplay that not a lot of people were super happy with, but you can understand them wanting to change it up after 9 mainline games. But then they doubled down on those changes by releasing Mario Party 10, which kept those changes, and it sucked. Yeah, at the time of its release, I felt really burned on Mario Party 10, man. Between that and the 3 rough 3DS releases, the Mario Party series had officially entered its famous ew, icky yucky poo poo era. In 2018, Nintendo released Super Mario Party, which released for the Switch, and it was a big improvement, finally taking everybody's driver's license away. Spike lost his license over a DUI. While Super Mario Party was an improvement, it had such a boring presentation to me, and the minigames just weren't great. And then in 2021, we got Super Mario Party. That's not the right one. Mario Party Superstars, which was actually a great Mario Party game. I don't love that there aren't as many board options as I would like, and after you play the game for long enough, it does kind of get a little boring. But overall, it was a massive improvement, and I had tons of fun playing it with friends locally and online. With Mario Party Superstars, I honestly thought that was going to be the Mario Party game for this generation of consoles, and I was cool with that. But in 2024, to my surprise, we actually got another new Mario Party game. It would not only be a good Mario Party game, it would also be my favorite game in the series. Super Mario Party Jamboree is a perfect example of what Mario Party should be. Fantastic boards, super fun minigames, and a ton of extra modes that all have something to offer. It's kind of weird to me how all the Nintendo Switch Mario Party games have Super in the name and it's all different. The whole naming system in general is confusing. First Super Mario Party, then we drop the Super from the front and put it at the back with Mario Party Superstars. Then they go back to putting it in the front with Super Mario Party Jamboree. Just pick a title and go with it. My shelf doesn't appreciate this confusion. This is one of those Mario Party games that I genuinely get excited about playing again when I have friends over and someone suggests it. Not only are all the boards so unique and fun, but all the minigames are just so delightful. To top it off, the other modes like Rhythm Kitchen and Koopathon are awesome additions to change it up in between rounds of the traditional Mario Party game. I think the most shocking part of this game is that they added Pro Rules, which reinvents the way that the game can even be played. But my absolute new favorite feature is the Jamboree Buddy Showdown minigames. These are so cool and different for each character. You might be performing a bongo rhythm game for Donkey Kong, running around a haunted mansion for Luigi, or even playing 3 classic Mario Party minigames for Mario. All to compete to win a Jamboree Buddy in which you can use to get 2 stars. Which is stupid, but I love that. This feels like Nintendo's attempt at making a Mario Party game in which everyone can find enjoyment and be happy. And I can't wait to continue to play it for the years to come. So let me tell you a little bit about my history with the Luigi's Mansion series. Growing up playing Mario games with my childhood best friend, I was always player 2, which meant I was Waluigi. I love this little green idiot. I mean, look at him, he's green. Then one day, when I was a wee little child, my father took me to the mall and I asked to go in GameStop. That's when I saw it. A Luigi game? Keep in mind, I was a knuckle-dragging dumb doo-doo baby boy who had not seen anything about this game other than the fact that it has Luigi on the cover. I mean, I used to pretend to be that guy on the playground with my friends. So I asked my stoic father if I could get it, and he said yes. And I could not wait to play it when I got home. I ran to the room that we had our game console set up in, waiting for that Mario aesthetic and all the colors to fill my screen, and I cried, and we returned it for Lego Batman. Yeah, so I was very little, and Luigi's Mansion scared the absolute crap out of me for some reason. Which now I find funny, because that game is super goofy and very cartoony. And later on, I did end up getting it again, and I really loved it. I mean, look at him, he's green! Years later, it even got a sequel on the 3DS called Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. I went to Toys R Us to buy the game, I popped it in my 3DS on the way home, and I should have switched it out for Lego Batman 2. And jokes aside, I like Dark Moon, but I never really loved Dark Moon. Something about the game I just didn't love as much. I think it was the mission-based objectives. I don't know. I just like running around a mansion. Just let me do that. I do still think that it's a good game. I get it. And I am looking forward to replaying it on the Nintendo Switch. But it just really wasn't for me. Fast forward to 2019, Nintendo announced Luigi's Mansion 3. I love this game. Luigi's Mansion 3, in my opinion, is the best game in the series. This game has so much style and looks gorgeous on the Switch. I will die on the hill that the more rubbery aesthetic for the Mario series is the best style that they've ever had. I love the way Luigi and Mario talk in this game, mixing gibberish and random words together. I love the humor in this game too, with nods to the Virtual Boy and how it will be the next big thing. And don't even get me started on the gameplay, man. They perfected the feeling of controlling a green idiot and his poltergust. Between the movement, the environment physics, the room layouts, this game has it all. This is the definitive Ghostbusters game without Ghostbusters. I never played any of the online mode stuff for this game, but from what I could tell, it looked fun. This is the definitive Luigi game. 6-year-old big boo-boo whiny baby me would be so happy with this game. And I wouldn't even be terrified. Unless... What is that? Oh, no. I think Animal Crossing New Horizons is just one of those games that came out at a perfect time. I followed this series and have played every single one of these games a ton. And I was ready to completely abandon my town and leave my animal friends to die in New Leaf per tradition to start a new game on the Nintendo Switch. I remember the reveal for New Horizons like it was yesterday. You thought it was an Animal Crossing trailer? Nope. Smash Brothers. Get trolled, idiot. And then, Tom Nook shows up. A new Animal Crossing game is in the works. There was a lot of hype around this game, and then when the game released, I was so ready to go to the store, to go to another human being, get really close to them, buy a copy, give them a high five, maybe a kiss on the cheek, maybe a little bit more, and then be on my merry way. Out of any Nintendo game that could have released around this time, Animal Crossing New Horizons was the perfect kind of game. A relaxing, cozy, happy game. Ignore the world being on fire, look at this cool mouse! This game helped a lot of people, including myself, in a time where everybody was home a lot. I remember devoting hundreds of hours to this game during the pandemic, and then all my friends would come over, we'd run around our little islands and vice versa. There's so much customization and stuff to do in this video game. I love New Horizons. However, yeah, although I think it's a fantastic game and it does deserve to be on this list, I do have a couple problems with it. Nintendo? Hi. Why did you stop supporting it so soon? This game could have been even better if Nintendo would have kept at it and added more updates. I mean, I haven't even taken my game out of the case to pop it in my console in years now, solely because I know I've done everything I want to do on my island. I'm just kind of tapped out at the game, which is fine, of course, but it kind of hurts the replayability, which is a little disappointing, but this game is still amazing, and I think it's one of the best on the console. There's still no Pee-wee merch. I'm watching you, Nintendo.
Yes!
I bet y'all were waiting for where this one was going to be put. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate earns its title, perfecting the gameplay and the character balance almost to a T. Smash Bros. Games are not just games for Nintendo fans, they're an event. And this game was the biggest yet. The hold this game had on the entire Nintendo fanbase from 2018 to 2021 is hilarious to me. And it is super nostalgic and fun to look back at. All you would have to see is that Smash Bros. Logo blip onto the screen during a Nintendo Direct, and it could make a whole Direct with just a single announcement. Trying to guess and theorize what characters would be added to the roster is always half the fun of a new Smash Bros. Game. I was so excited for this video game. Although it really hadn't been that long since the previous Smash game, I was really glad this game released in the early life of the Switch. This game was the talk of the Nintendo community at the time, and the hype was real. Bringing every fighter back from previous games, I mean, how could you top that? Oh. Nice. Yeah, bringing in the DLC fighter passes was a genius idea on Nintendo's part, keeping the game relevant in conversations for years after its release. And I haven't even talked about the actual game yet. This game feels amazing to control. Every fighter in this game is fun to play in their own way, and I'm at the point of Smash where I just don't have any mains. I just roll with randoms every single match I play of this game at this point, and I still have a ton of fun. If you want to know my opinion on the definitive way to play Smash Bros. Ultimate, it's 5v5 Squad Strike, all randomized, no items. To this day, roughly 7 years later, this is what me and my best friend still roll with, and it still feels fresh. Not to mention the quote-unquote story mode in this game, aka Spirits mode, is also a fun addition as well. Not as interesting to me as Subspace Emissary, but again, I grew up with Brawl, but it's still a great little addition to add a lot of single-player content. This game has tons of spirits. Every single time that I felt like I finally had them all, they'll always seem to add more with DLC or free updates. Not only do I think Smash Ultimate is the best Smash Bros. Game, but I also think that these games are kind of at the point where you can't go much higher than this. You're gonna just have to completely reboot the Smash Bros. Series. This game is just one of those that is impossible to one-up, which that is a huge feat, and I cannot wait to still enjoy this game with friends for the years to come. I love 2D platformers. They are my favorite kind of games, from classics like Super Mario World and Mega Man X to games like New Super Mario Bros., Shovel Knight, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Rayman Legends, New Super Mario Bros. 2, New Super Mario Bros. U. Okay, fun fact about me. I don't like New Super Mario Bros. I've played those games so much to the point where I just genuinely dislike them. The New Super Mario Bros. Format was getting super old to the point where 2 games released in the same year. Even as a child, I knew, like, these are getting stale. It just felt like every New Super Mario Bros. Game just got staler and staler. They were still quality games, sure, but like, they have no personality. It had been since 2014 that we had gotten a new, traditional 2D Mario platformer, other than, of course, a port of New Super Mario Bros. U in the form of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Finally! All the New Super Mario Bros. U fans can rejoice! But that all changed on June 21st, 2023, during a Nintendo Direct.
Onward and upward.
Super Mario Bros. Wonder. What an incredible breath of fresh air for the series. Everything that this game does is incredible. Its unique style, its fantastic soundtrack, its new character designs, its perfect gameplay. Chef's kiss. Compliments to the chef. Oh, it's you? Thank you, sir. I bet you worked on other bangers. This is not only my favorite 2D Mario game, but this is also one of my favorite video games of all time. Heck, this is the quickest game that I've ever committed to 100%ing as fast as I could. I'm really looking forward to the future of 2D Mario After Wonder. I don't really want to even talk about this game that much because I want you to go play it. It's amazing. This is definitely one of those games that I'm going to do an in-depth video of in the future. I adore everything about Wonder. Although I think the next 2 games on the list are technically better, Super Mario Bros. Wonder is truly worth every second I spent playing. Okay, so I know this is a top 10 ranking, but for the last 2 spots on the list, I've gone back and forth which one should be where. I think both games are equal when it comes down to what they offer and what they've done to their respected franchises. So although one is ranked at number 2 and one is 1, keep in mind that I love both of these equally. I know that I'm going to get some flack for the way that I rank these, but I'm rolling with it anyway. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. One of the most innovative video games I have ever played. I have a weird relationship with the Legend of Zelda franchise. I love tons of the games in the series. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, heck, I even really enjoy Skyward Sword. But I've never actually finished them. I don't really know why, because I love the series. But I've always just ended up dropping them due to having other games in my backlog. But when I picked up my copy of Breath of the Wild, along with my Nintendo Switch, I told myself that I was going to finish it. But I mean, to be fair, what other games did I have during the Nintendo Switch launch? I committed to beating this game, and I did. And by golly, was it fantastic. I remember like it was yesterday when this game was shown off at E3 2014, solely because that was around the time that I actually started following everything Nintendo. I remember watching that trailer of Link jumping off of his horse and taking that arrow to shoot the Guardian. Oh man, 2015, I might just have to buy me a Wii U. And that's the first time that sentence has ever been spoken out loud. So at the time, to my disappointment, the game actually got pushed back to 2017 and would be the launch title of the Nintendo Switch console. Again, although I had never actually finished a Zelda game, I was excited for it. And I mean, when your options are this and this, you kinda gotta be. I think the game being delayed actually was a great thing, not only for the game itself being able to release on the next Nintendo console, but for myself as well. Since it launched when I was a little older, I was able to really appreciate this game even more. I don't even know really what to say about this game that hasn't already been talked about to death. The whole concept of changing the formula of what once was an adventure game with a fairly linear, straightforward path into a completely open-world experience where you really do feel like you're conquering the wild. Survival is key, and it feels key. Weapons will break no matter how powerful. The weather will affect your strategy and how you play. Heck, even after countless hours of playing and beating the main game, there are still enemies in this game that are a challenge. Kind of like Mario Wonder, I don't really want to show a whole lot of this game, because if you haven't played it yet, I want you to. All in all, this game is still one of the best Switch games, and it's been there since day one. Every inch of this world feels so meticulously crafted to be fun. It even got a sequel. This is also a warning that Tears of the Kingdom is not on this list, solely because I haven't really put enough time into it to get an honest opinion. I haven't put a ton of hours into Tears of the Kingdom yet, but from what I've played, I love it. But I have to give credit to Breath of the Wild, but mainly because of the world that Breath of the Wild built. To sum up Breath of the Wild, it's great. Perfectly handcrafted and tons of fun. I may one day try to sit down and put all my thoughts of this game on paper and actually make a video out of it. But for now, all I can say is that it is truly a defining moment in gaming. Before getting to probably at this point a very obvious number one spot, I do have some honorable mentions that I'd like to shout out. Splatoon 2 and 3. I haven't played a ton of either of these games, but they are super high quality and a lot of fun. I always want to get into these games more, and then I just kind of forget about them. The aesthetic is so charming, and the gameplay with gyro controls can be satisfying. Definitely wanting to play these games in the future more. Pikmin 4. I haven't played this one yet, even though I got it on launch day, but it's the next game on my backlog, and I cannot wait to play it. Super Mario Maker 2. I don't think this game quite captures the magic of the first game on Wii U. However, it is still an amazing level editor and a great game to just pop in time to time to play. Both WarioWare games on the Switch have such a different experience and are great additions to the series. However, I do think Get It Together is a little too short. I mean, my friend and I beat the entire story mode in one sitting, and it was a short sitting. But both games still capture the perfect amount of weirdness that I love from Nintendo. Now let's finally get a Rhythm Heaven game on the Switch, please. Come on. I love Donkey Kong. Both Tropical Freeze and Returns HD are amazing re-releases. I just wish we would have gotten a new Donkey Kong game on the Switch, but here's hoping for Switch 2. Metroid Prime Remastered is an amazing remaster. I really hope we get 2 and 3 on the Switch soon, even if they aren't remasters, just so you can play the full trilogy. This is an amazing remaster, and it's so good to have Prime on a modern console. Like I said in the beginning, there are a ton of games in my backlog, and there are even more games that I just haven't even mentioned. If you have any suggestions of games that I've missed out on playing, let me know in the comments. But that brings me to my number one absolute favorite Nintendo Switch game, and it's been there from almost the start.
Wowie zowie!
Here we go, off the rails. Don't you know it's time to raise our sails? It's freedom like you never knew.
If you hadn't guessed it already from the fact that it wasn't on the list yet and my Mario bias, Super Mario Odyssey was the game I was most excited for during that initial Nintendo Switch reveal trailer. I love 3D Mario. I've 100%ed 64, Sunshine, Galaxy 1 and 2 several times, and I was so excited for another edition in the series. Keep in mind, unless you count 3D Mario World and Land, which I classify those as different, it had been 7 years since the last 3D Mario game, and Mario Galaxy is my favorite video game of all time. So I was just a little excited. And man, was it worth the wait. I adore this game. This game is everything I wanted it to be. There's not a single moment of this game where I wasn't enjoying it to the fullest. This game is chock full of pure platforming fun. Fusing the retro 2D sections back to 3D gameplay seamlessly is so cool. And the new Cappy Possession ability changes the dynamic of how you play. Sure, I agree that this game is way easier than the other 3D Mario games, and the bosses you most likely won't fail on your first attempt fighting them. The challenge comes more in when it comes to exploration. No matter what you do, you're gonna miss some moons on your first run through of a new location, which really increases the replay value. And the post-game after the credits roll is honestly my favorite part of the game. This game's amount of moons to collect always cracks me up. Mario 64 has 120 stars, that's fair. Mario Odyssey? 999 moons to truly 100%. This game makes you work for a lot of those moons too. Some of them were crazy for me to find. I will say, while having so many moons is cool that they were able to kind of figure out how many places to put them, it does make it less likely that I'm going to try to 100% this game again. Not saying that that's a flaw of the game or anything, far from it. There's just tons of time to invest with this game. I still love how weird the art style is in this game. One moment it's like, oh, funny chef bird, let's take him down. To the next moment, you're fighting Blarion the Black Dread. Oh shoot, was that John Hamm? While I still love Mario Galaxy more as a game due to a personal preference, I will say confidently that Mario Odyssey is the most inventive in the series. I'm honestly shocked we didn't get a follow-up game on the Switch, considering how early this came out during the Switch's life. But I do suspect with the Switch 2, we're going to be getting a new 3D Mario very soon. Mario Odyssey is continuous proof that the Super Mario Bros. Series can bring its absolute A-game 40 years later. Again, I view both Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey in the number 2 and number 1 spots as equal for the best Switch games on the console. They just both offer such drastically different experiences that I couldn't really say which one is better than the other. And I went back and forth on which one to put where. And it really just came down to which one I spent more time playing. Maybe in the future, as time passes, they'll continue to switch back and forth on my list. But at the end of the day, I am a die-hard Mario fan. And Super Mario Odyssey made this die-hard Mario fan very, very happy. Well, that's my list. If you made it this far into the video, thanks so much for watching. This was my first time making a top 10 list, so I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, consider liking the video and subscribing. It would help me out a lot. I'm also really curious to see if you guys have any game suggestions that I've missed somehow. And if you do, throw them in the comments, I'll definitely check them out. At some point, I'd love to do a ranking of every game I've played on the Nintendo Switch, so I'd love to hear some suggestions on games. Thanks again so much for watching, and now, I gotta run out and see if I can find Velcro shoes for my Nintendo Switch. We got a long way to go.